Welcome one, welcome all to the Expansion Pass. Thoughtful discussions on gaming without the console war noise. Be sure you're subscribed, be it on iTunes, Spotify, or of course right here on YouTube. I'm your host, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost. Today, as always, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logan. This week, we are tracking possible changes to Xbox structure inside and possibly outside of Microsoft. Halo, Fallout, Call of Duty, and Elder Scrolls are all becoming increasingly important pillars in the new era of Xbox. Summer Game Fest season is ending, and the real conversation begins. Who won the Showcase Wars, if at all? All that and more. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing better. I came back from SGF and I'd caught a cold somehow. So I've been fighting. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely am so confused because no one else is sick except for me. So I'm just like, what the hell? But yeah, it's just been a lot of medication, a lot of sleeping. I think I slept like 9 hours last night. Had a weird fever dream, but doing better, still just really congested. So just fighting a battle and trying to get content made in between my lucid moments, which is always funny.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of content already made, more on the way. I've got a slew of stuff that I'm working on for next week, which is exciting. You got up a great preview of Grave Seasons, which is doing very well, which we're very pleased with. We did a number of interviews, which I'm going to spotlight in just a second. But first, we always give shout outs to people who made our gaming weeks better. And I think our list is long this week, but we chose the same people because Alex Wagerman and the amazing Korkenstein helped coordinate rides to and from the airports, saving us a combined $300, which was amazing. While we were out there, they went out of their way with their own cars to look at schedules for people's flights coming in, pick up people from the airport, drive them into downtown LA. They drove back. I think they were in their cars for like 12 hours, just driving and shuttling people back and forth, which saved us on Lyft and Uber costs tremendously. So big shout out to Wagerman and Korkenstein because it was just a great appreciated effort. And I had a fun time because I got to chat with Alex for a good while. And then the amazing Idle Sloth and his girlfriend, Kat, were in the car with me. And we had wonderful conversations about everything from Star Trek to, Xbox inside information and stuff like that. And then I know we saw a ton of other people, some of whom I see in the chat here. Good to see you, Baron, Level 1 Gaming Baron.
Hey, Baron.
Man. Got to see them, dude. Oh, giving David that hug for the first time. And it meant the world because, he's just an important person, which was amazing. So, yeah, it was a lot of people to thank, but I think those two made it happen in a lot of ways. So those are my gaming week shout outs. I'm sure you have them and more, Logan.
Yeah, it was really good of them to set up that schedule and organize it. It was really above and beyond. Like, I was not expecting it. I saw the news about that. Plus just all the folks that have been very generous with like ordering Ubers to and from or Lyfts to and from like play days or like Hollywood, downtown Hollywood for like the showcase and SGF and stuff. It's just really nice. You guys, Ains, everyone was just really, really considerate of actually like setting up them, getting us rides to and from and stuff. So it was really nice to be able to like have folks kind of help out as much as possible. So really appreciated that. That was one of the highlights of that, is just kind of being able to go and coordinate with folks, and then getting to meet up with everyone again was really kind of cool. It was nice to kind of see like Web Dave and Hargi. Web Dave bought everyone like breakfast the first morning. It was real on Friday. It was really nice. It was a pretty hefty bill, but we got the buffet on Friday morning from the JW Marriott. So that was a really nice way to kind of kick things off. It was really nice to kind of see the lords as well, Attic and Hagen, King, and Chris get to run in Sov this year. I actually had Lord Sovereign join us, so it was really kind of cool to see them, as well as just kind of hang out with SG Season Gaming and PlayStation Trophy Room crew. Just kind of hang out with them and see how they were doing. It was nice to know. It was like every time we were kind of at like play days, it was like, hi, good to see you. I'm running in between appointments. That's why two ships passing in the night, like kind of thing. Like, I know you're busy, I'm busy, but we'll have to catch up and get feelings and stuff on things later on. But yeah, and shout out to Ains and Ben Kenobi and stuff. Just they set up, they Hargi, they put a lot of effort into FanFest last year. And if not for that, honestly, it was just like we wouldn't have been able to. I don't know if we would have been able to go in as fans this year for the Xbox Showcase,
right?
And being able to get that, it would have been cool. I was talking to Light about it, and I was like, it'd be cool to get media. And then we found out like after the showcase that we were going to be gifted the Xbox 25th anniversary transparent green versions, and I was like, well. A lot of people went into making FanFest last year. I felt like a tag along at that point. I still feel like a tag along at that point. But it was just a really awesome experience and a really awesome kind of thank you to everyone.
Yeah. No, it was really, really fun to see everybody. In many cases, it was ships passing in the night, but then the dinners, the lunches, where we would kind of coalesce and gather who's available, who's doing this. Sometimes people could make a dinner, sometimes they couldn't because they had other stuff going on. And one of my favorite experiences was having lunch with Lord Sov. Like, I came and sat down, but King and I forget, Sam Tolbert, maybe, like, they had to go, so just Sov and I got to have like this really wonderful 15-20 minute conversation. Just, I haven't gotten to sit and talk to Lord Sov in years, and so that was really nice. And of course we spent time with a lot of the SG guys and Trophy Room, and I said it before, like, getting to see Fame in person for the first time. He's in chat. Good to see you, my friend. But that meant the world for a lot of reasons, public and not. Like, it just meant the world to get to see him. And Baron's always a pleasure, and then seeing Dragons and like Lemon from there, and just there's no way to watch everyone's content. That's something that, like, I think is a really nice realization that a lot of us made. It's like, I cannot watch 8 hours of Iron Lords and then go watch Trophy Room and Bitcast and Save Game Media and all these things, but we all support each other and we're all good to each other. And so being in the same spot was great. Like, I got to sit next to Korkenstein during the SGF showcase, Keely's bit. Wonderful, because he and I didn't know we had a shared love for Dead by Daylight. Sweet, didn't know that. Having King behind us during that event was really fun, and I think it was Colt Eastwood in front of us, and like watching everyone's reactions was a good time. And then there was the idea of making content, which was really fascinating to watch how everyone was approaching making content. SG, Ains, they would record something here or there, but then Ray's pulling out his laptop, doing the video editing on the fly. You and I would record something, and I had to do it on my mobile. Like, my laptop died before I left. So I was just on my mobile doing editing at any given point. Like, there was a lot of, hey, Logan, can you send me this thumbnail so I can put it in and we can edit this? And like, in the car, I would be editing on my phone. You'd be on your tablet taking notes or edit, and like watching how stuff was made was really cool. And in truth, like, XP listeners, whether you're watching live or on VOD, we've put up a lot onto the channel that we're really proud of. I'm going to spotlight a few of them. You did a great preview of Grave Seasons, and their social media team checked it out, by the way. I don't know if you know that. That was really cool.
I sent I sent the PR team an email. I didn't realize they had already checked it out.
Yeah, they gave it a nice little like on Blue Sky, which is cool. We interviewed for the second time Grounded 2's director, Chris Parker, which was a blast. So that was an Xbox first party we got to interview. We did an interview with the Elder Scrolls Online team, which I actually really enjoyed, right? Like, ESO is this unique entity within the Xbox umbrella because it's Elder Scrolls, big deal, but it's also a live service MMO, which is not necessarily our audience. But we got to do that interview, which was a pleasure. Not a ton of people have checked it out, but there's some really good nuggets in that one. And that's another Xbox first party if you want to think about that. We had early access to, prior to the launch of Spyro: A Realm Beyond. We got to interview that team the day before the announcement and watch that interview go live with the announcement trailer, which did really well for our channel, our little small channel. What a cool thing, right? Like that it just means the absolute world. That got, I think, 16,000 views, which to us is huge, right? Like that dwarfs most of our content. And then we did an interview with the Lazy River dev. A lot of this stuff went members first. The Lazy River dev is currently a members only one at this time. We did reactions, Logan. I almost got my ass kicked. That was funny. Yeah. That's a story for offline, but that was funny. We did reactions to SGF and the Xbox Showcase proper. We tried to do one more thing. We got removed from the JW for filming in the hallway. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. Impulse, we did an interview with that dev team, which, by the way, that's Titanfall 3. Let's go. I'm so excited for that.
I'm waiting for a proper Titanfall 3. I think that's a good update on the multiplayer for Titanfall.
Sure. Yeah. But $15 in launch week. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
$15 to get a updated version of Titanfall 2 multiplayer that doesn't have hacks. That'll be fun.
I'm supporting that team. That was the second time I've interviewed Ian Proulx, who has definitely gone through it in the last few years as far as like socials and game stuff. And we enjoyed that both interviews actually. And so that was cool. But yeah, so 5 interviews that we put out and then more on the way, which we've scheduled. Some of them I've scheduled, some not. We did a ton of preview content, which we've got more like on the way. We're excited to talk about some games in this one. But yeah, in truth, I think the big thing that you and I both talked about is like, we want to thank the listeners, because patrons, channel members, super chats, it was more expensive than ever this year to go to LA, right? With inflation and travel costs, but we got to go to LA. We got to do these interviews. We got to be at SGF with our friends, but also we saw more games than we'd seen in the last few years combined. So we just want to thank everybody that supported us, that's hit the like button, that's shared, that's donated financially, because we got to do that, truly appreciative. I just wanted to note that before we go into our topics.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a really good time with it. I think this year was probably one of the best years that we could have gone. Just on top of like the stellar SGF that we saw. It was a 25th anniversary for Xbox, and they definitely showed up with a lot of love and a lot of attention to those 25 years. The showcase floor was amazing. I recorded like the last 5 minutes of them talking to us after the showcase ended, after the Gears Direct. And I haven't even gotten a chance to like upload it anywhere, and it's too long for social media, but it's literally the in-room reaction to us finding out about the Xboxes and how insane that was. But yeah, it was truly just like an awesome experience. Felt way more confident this year going into it. Next year, I even have like bigger ideas on stuff that I want to make sure gets done. Because like this year we did on-site interviews. Next year, I want to do on-site interviews with a 2-camera setup that's going to offer us like the ability to cut from interviewer to interviewee. And like I've already got plans for like stickers to hand out with like our information on it, so that people can get stickers, just hand out like a little sticker like, hey, you got some XP, that's enjoy fun. So yeah, like I've already got a lot of ideas. I definitely think going with the tablet was a much better way of going about it. Like I know laptops can definitely help out, but having a laptop versus like a notepad and a phone, like last year is exceptionally easier. And a lot of that is because of the chat helping and supporting us and stuff. So it was really awesome.
Well, I got a lot of like a whole stack of what is it, business cards from people, and we got a lot of emails, and we saw over 20 games, which was cool. I think I tallied it the other day. We saw a lot. I wrote some down. I had to go back to that list and such, but it was a good time. So in short, Logan, let's kind of get into those topics. We have our reactions to SGF and Xbox Games Showcase both up already on the channel. But I would like to, and Jam-Pack Sam very appropriately, for the record, let the record show that Logan called him short.
I didn't call him short. I said I thought he would be taller, which is a true statement. Because in my mind, it's Jam-Pack Sam, a towering presence, and
good.
And I was genuinely surprised. I was just genuinely surprised that he was as tall as he is, but not as tall as I was expecting.
Well, we had a wonderful dinner with Sam, and then we got to see Sam go on to do some incredible stuff at SGF. If anyone's not checked out Jam-Pack Sam's YouTube channel and TikTok, he interviewed Matt Booty. And he saw some incredible things. I mean, Sam's on a trajectory that I think we're really, really proud of, and just beyond excited to watch, because one of the nicest human beings you could meet. And just doing incredible stuff. And that was probably one of the neat things to watch this year. Talk about Ships in the Night, was there are tiers of access that different websites, different media, different content creators get and have. And it did not matter what tier people were at. Everybody was seeing stuff. Everyone was getting to do stuff. And with an exception of a very small few of people, that's a poor way of saying that, but like very few people, the rest were so welcoming and kind. It didn't matter like what level they operated on, whether like some YouTube channels were there and they have 100 subscribers, some have 100,000, right? And it didn't matter. Like for the most part, everyone was just so welcoming and kind. I'm going to shout out Danny Pena and Rihanna Manuel Pena. They were so kind to me and just had the most polite things to say, which was just appreciated. They didn't need to do that. They have a much higher tier of access. And it was just neat. I really enjoyed that for the most part. There's one or two here and there. And one of the things was interesting. We had a lot of conversations about what insiders are and are not, and what they know and don't. And forgive me, Logan, I'm going to say a cuss, Red Beast, cover the ears. Some of these people that pretend like they know stuff, they're so full of shit. They have no idea what's going on. And it's so evident. But it was so enjoyable, I think, to just watch everyone celebrate each other. And that was really cool. So
real highlight for me was us managing to get access to Nintendo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That we did not know was going to be there, and we did not realize that they were going to have like presence at SGF.
Yeah.
Very, very awesome people that got us in there. The PR team for Saber Interactive, I had no idea Saber was going to be there. I was very, very interested in Stuntman Hollywood as well as Turok, and they got me in. They literally walked me in. They're like, all right, we got 15 minutes here. If you want to sit down with the devs, they'll walk you through this. And they're like, okay. I sat down with the devs. Those guys are so enthusiastic, dude. I played through Turok.
For Turok. Yeah. Okay.
Those dudes are so enthusiastic. And then we got done doing like half of a session. I jumped in and funny enough, sitting next to a YouTuber that I met at the show as well too, and was playing with them. Got done, and then they were like waiting for the next group, and the devs were like, "Do you think we could get him to see the T-Rex?" And they're like, "I think we could. Could we jump into a checkpoint?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Do you want to see the T-Rex?" And I was like, "Well, of course I want to see the T-Rex. It's Turok game. It's Cerebral War with a T-Rex. Are you kidding me?" They're like, "All right, let's jump in." So like, all right, you sit here, and then and they were so excited to just like, all right, let's get it going. Let's jump into the checkpoint and go. You've already played, so you're good. You're good. We'll just sit you there and like you get to do the T. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is so much fun. So Saber Interactive, Nintendo was awesome. Got to meet
Turok at Nintendo after you had seen it. So you let me go. I think we were with Asante and Ames for that portion because like the way it worked, we could go in and see certain games under the Nintendo umbrella for an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
we were at Turok.
Not enough time.
Yeah, not enough time. But we did see some very cool stuff. Armitage, man. But Turok, you'd already seen it. And so I went hands-on. I played the handheld version while Asante was on the screen, which was really interesting. And then I would pass it off to Ains and quiz the art director about that game, which I really enjoyed, because one of the things about Turok is obviously it's a lot of indigenous culture, Native American specifically in there. And I ended up just rapid fire questioning about that, because that's one of the things I'm studying right now. And they have a consultant on team for indigenous representation, and they were talking about certain feathers they had started to use in art, but then they had to wipe it because it was a sacred feather. You had to use this type, this paint, this tattoo. Like, the amount of research they were putting into Turok was really, really cool. And all quite separately, the game felt great. Yeah. I was like, oh, like at first I was like targeting 30 FPS. I don't know. 10 seconds in, I'm like, don't care. This is fun. And I was having a blast. So that was cool. So good call.
That was Turok was being there with Saber and Stuntman Hollywood. I'm terrible at that game, but dude, it's so cool. It was really, really nice to check out that. I didn't play through Hellraiser, but I will say anyone who likes Resident Evil will probably enjoy Hellraiser. Because that game very much gives like Resident Evil vibes.
You got to go hands on with it. Oh, no, you didn't go hands on. You just watched.
I was not going to go hands on with that. Are you insane? They gave me a little Post-it note in the swag bag of like a stack of Post-its that looks like the cube. And I was like, that's cool. I love Hellraiser. That's so fun. But no, I wasn't going to play that. But watching someone play that was really cool. I definitely think that'll be a fun game for folks that like Resident Evil.
Yeah, no, that's really neat.
Those Kit and Krista. We got to meet Kit and Krista from former Nintendo PR, now independent on their own. Kit and Krista's channel. They still cover Nintendo. They still do a really good job. They still have great chemistry as like co-hosts their content. And that was awesome. That was really cool to meet them. I was very much like, let Luke have his moment, because you wanted to get a picture with them. And I was like, I'd love to get a picture with Kit and Krista.
For 2 days. Yeah.
He's like, oh. And I'm like, well, there's time. Yeah. We'll see them. And then they have like the little Summer Games Fest, like sit down kind of photo op moment. And it's a little pool that has like a little diving board and stuff. And Luke, like, they were getting photos, and I was like, hey guys, you need help? And they're like, oh, that'd be fantastic. It's like, good, Luke, get in there.
Yeah. Yep. It's funny because you see all these people, content creators, minor celebrities, people and like, for me, Kit and Chris are just somebody I really enjoy their content, and I got to tell them that, and that's always fun. I got our picture. I even commented on their most recent. They used the picture I took as a thumbnail for their channel, so I commented on that video, and they were like, "Thanks for taking the picture." Like, that was fun. But then, like, that was a ship in the night type thing where I just got to say very quickly, where other conversations were long and extensive, which was fun. I've got Chick's questions saved about our favorite experience. Chick, we're going to save that one. Loud Boys, I'm following you. I got you. A couple people asking why I'm not wearing my U.S. men's national team jersey. I have 2 jerseys. Watched the game last night against Paraguay. We won 4-1. Great way to start the World Cup. Just not wearing it because it doesn't look good on camera. But yeah, Logan.
Sure.
It was really just neat to watch all these reactions and come in. So you talked about Turok. I think let's just go back and forth on some thoughts here. One of the things I really enjoyed were the 2 Alien games on display. Let's start with Fireteam Elite.
Yeah,
that was really cool. Like, a lot of times you played, and I like would watch and quiz the developers. And Aliens Fireteam Elite looks incredible. Plays now, it's much improved over the first game, which I really loved. That was a 3-player game. Now it's 4 players, and I just sat there grilling the art dev on it. Unreal Engine 4 somehow, and it looks as good as it does. Incredible, but that was a really fun game to watch. What did you think? You played it while I talked.
It felt really good. Felt like very polished already. And I'm pretty sure it was a vertical slice that they had built out, because they didn't have the specialist available, which is the new class that they have in there, which is like if you like recon, if you like heavy arms, if you have like a special or a type of play style like an engineer or something that you like, then you can go with that. But if there's parts of those that you don't necessarily like, the new class, the specialist, allows you to kind of pick and choose what you want for your actual kit, and just gives a little bit more freedom. So I won't be surprised if a lot of people go with specialist and kind of find out what that meta is. But they've added a couple new aliens, which is pretty cool. I think they said this takes place 5 years after Alien. Is that right? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was longer, but I don't remember.
Yeah. It was either like 28 years after or 5 years after. I think it might be 5 years after Fireteam Elite. But we're going to a colony, and they added synths as one of the enemy types, which was really kind of cool, because I know that they had synths in the first game, but they weren't like something that you had to really combat. So instead of like it just being aliens this time, and having to like keep an eye on the walls, you actually have things shooting back at you now, which definitely at one point, I think we actually failed one of the missions because a whole bunch of people got downed, and I was the last one. And instead of not taking out the sniper synth on an upper level and then going to my friends, I decided to run into the ball of like angriness that was where they were downed and tried to actually like get a res off. Yeah, that was terrible. That was a dumb idea.
But it was neat because the synths added like this Gears of War style combat for some things, and then the aliens operated as like a monster thing, and they did it. We were talking about like how they pull off the alien vibe in Fireteam Elite, by the way, because I'm going to compare it to Isolation. In Fireteam Elite, like they try to like allow your camera to see it, but fleetingly at first. So you catch it out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, oh gosh, I got to turn and then aim, which was really neat. And it looked to me like it gave a lot of different like gameplay options that they were approaching. It does come out this summer. This is definitely a summer shooter. Like you like horde mode. Like we've seen a lot of really good horde mode tech out of a number of different companies. And like, I even asked him about that. I was like, are you looking at World War Z and Warhammer and Toxic Commando and all these? And they're like, yeah, this is ours. And it looks good. So I was really, really pleased. I thought that game looked awesome.
Yeah, I appreciated the gunplay. I appreciated the fact that they still have, like on normal mode, they still have the friendly fire. They had to bump it down to casual for the demo that they were providing, because and this is the case all the time. Like you go into Summer Games Fest and you're going to be interviewing people and you're going to be demoing stuff. There's a good chance you've never played that game, and they know that, so they have to take into account people picking it up and dropping into the middle of a vertical slice without any kind of experience or any kind of prep on like what even like the buttons are. So it's always tough to kind of like showcase how cool and amazing this game is going to be when you have people have zero experience, no idea of what the controls are, dropping into it at some point. But the enjoyment factor is definitely there. I think a lot of folks who enjoy Aliens are going to be satisfied with this. And it's a stark contrast. I think we talked about this a while ago. It's how I've wanted more Aliens, even though I respect the enjoyment of the horror level of like Alien.
Yeah, no, very much so. And that was kind of the cool part, was when we did have that conversation, like there's Alien and Aliens. Alien is a horror experience, surviving. You can't fight back. You're going to die if you're not careful. Aliens is arcade shooter goodness. And, that's the spirit of it. And so it was really cool for me to go from seeing Fireteam Elite 2, which I'm very interested. Like that's a definite, I want to play that, to go to see Isolation 2, which was powerful. That was that one you were not in, which I'm glad you weren't in, by the way. No, because they were doing a thing where they were filming our reactions.
Yeah.
So you were locked into a booth, headphones, it was loud, it was powerful. And you're on this planet, which they did a really good job at giving a more open experience than the old Isolation, but still making you feel isolated. And then of course you're fleeing an alien, and the sound design was incredible. The fear element is absolutely there. I chuckled because in the demo, I did not get scared, but everybody else had said they were terrified. And I think that's just jet lag and tired and the event and the
emotionally detached.
Yeah,
struggles with that. Emotional recognition. Like, yeah.
But I had a very good time. I was super impressed with Alien Isolation 2. They've done some really good stuff with sound and visuals and lighting in that game. Shadows being cast, rain, thunder, and it was just wow. Lucas built different.
Confirmed synth.
Technically, yes. It was a really, really cool game, and it was fun for me because, you know, I loved Fireteam Elite 1. I loved the first Isolation. I love Aliens and Dead by Daylight. I love the franchise in general. And to see Fireteam Elite and Isolation exist, and then knowing that Rogue Incursion existed on VR, just all these interpretations were really good. But both showings of the Alien franchise looked great at SGF. So that was a cool one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Aliens and Predator, 2 franchises that from the 80s, I never anticipated still being so strong outside of like comics and stuff. It's just really good. My phone was listening to me the other night, and I mentioned having my Alien Isolation 2 hat with a chick, and now my Instagram feed is showing me Alien Isolation clips of like people and stuff, and I'm like, Meta, you got to get off my phone, man. It's a little gross.
Next week on the channel, I should have a video preview for it that includes my own reactions because they're sending them to us. Or they might have already sent it, but I want to make sure I do right by it because I want to put that one up just because I don't think I reacted much, but there were some really cool moments. And I think I was more like, oh, you know, like, what did I look like? But yeah, that was a fun one. Did you get to see Armistice?
Is that the one that was in the Nintendo experience?
It's in the Nintendo experience, yes, but it's coming to all platforms. It looks like Destiny. It's not Destiny at all, but like the character looks like a Destiny character, and it's a third-person action roguelike.
Is this the one that was in the? This wasn't the one that we were sitting in the booth together with was it Yang? Ming.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was there.
So I thought Armistice looked really, really cool. I was not expecting to think it looked cool. I thought at first I was like, is this kind of a generic knockoff of Destiny? Like, what are we doing? And then when I watched it, it's nothing like that at all. It's a really cool third-person action roguelite where you go through, you battle your enemies, then you go through certain doors, upgrade. It's from the people that made Godfall, which can have a different level of impetus depending on who you are. But I thought Godfall had some pretty cool ideas in it. It was just a launch title for a system on PS5 back in the day. Eventually it came to Xbox, I believe. But bottom line, it was really neat to see this kind of studio's approach to this genre. And I walked away from that demo surprised and like sold on it. Whereas at first when I was looking at it, I was like, I don't think this is for me. And then watching and talking to them, I was like, oh, this is for me. Very cool. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we may want to hold off on talking more about that because I think we're embargoed on Nintendo stuff till the end of the month.
Not that one. That one, I'm talking more like the trailer and seeing it because we didn't play it. But we're okay. We're okay. But bottom line, I thought that was neat. I was just really, really sold on the concept, as it were. But we did not play that one. That part is very clear.
Yeah.
What
That's
was
true. It looked cool.
Yeah, it did look cool. Really cool. What was it? You played Galactic Racer.
Can't talk about that.
Can't talk about that one.
Nope.
What else did we want to spotlight that we saw? I played Godzilla, King of All Monsters. That was fun. Yeah, that was a loot game right there. I'm excited to talk about that one.
We are good on Nintendo.
I thought so, but I wasn't sure. We did not play it though, so like we can't break on that.
There is one that we're still embargoed on for Nintendo, but that is one that I will talk about next month.
Cool. But Godzilla, so good. Really, really had a good time with it. That's that old GameCube Melee game. Destructible environments and stuff, and like a lot
of fun.
I love my monsters killing stuff. Well, this one plays really well. It was fun because it was in there with Digital Eclipse, so I got to see the Toy Story stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, they did a really good job up-resing that. That's from that's Avalanche, who ended up making Hogwarts Legacy and then Disney Infinity prior to that, and then before that was their Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool to see the progression of that one. But in that booth, talking to Digital Eclipse, it was fun because it was like, I interview you guys for every release, and they're like, "That's you." And then there was this cool conversation. They took a picture of me and texted it to the guy. They're like, "Oh, it's Luke Thomas and I." It was
banned for life.
Nah, it was fun. I got a cool note from them, and really enjoyed that Godzilla game.
I wanted to check out the Godzilla game because I didn't know it was going to be Godzilla, but finding out that it was King of Monsters was one of those games that I absolutely loved on GameCube. It was just such a good brawler. It was just it was a fighting game that wasn't a fighting game. It was about how many things can you throw a monster through, and that was a really good time. There was a booth there that was for lemonade. It was a lemonade stand. But it was a Barbie lemonade stand, and there were a couple of twins there that were doing PR that had absolutely no idea what it was. They're just like, it's a Barbie thing, and they're like, cool. I'm like, what's the Barbie thing? Like, I'll take the free lemonade, thank you, but I'll pay the penance of asking what this is for fear of getting a spiel. And they're like, it's in the video, and they're pointing to like a little 10-inch screen that's off on the side here, and I was like sitting here watching this like little video, like genuinely trying to understand why Barbie was at SGF. And it's the whole freaking collection of Barbie games from Digital Eclipse. And I was like, oh,
I got to see it.
I was sitting there and I was like, because I asked them, I was like, who's developing this? Like, obviously like Atari's publishing it, but who did the work on it? And they're like, so they're like looking through their PR like emails and stuff, and they're looking around. I'm like, oh, this is Digital Eclipse. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, they're like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And I'm like, that's a fantastic thing. That is like you guys be proud of promoting this thing, because this is a well-versed studio when it comes to collections of digital games from the past. So I was not expecting to be excited for Barbie, but watching the video and seeing like all the different games that they came out, I was like, if I was a big Barbie fan, that would be it right there.
Well, so when we were at the BCD thing, it was neat because I was in there with a streamer, and she and her husband, I guess her husband was like the producer of her content, like she was the star, and and she was consistently talking about how important those games were to her, which was really, really cool. Yeah. She's like, oh, I played this one. Oh, this one matters a lot. I remember that. Yeah. And that was the cool part. Right. And when I talked to the producers, I think it was the producers, somebody at DE, I was like, hey, why Barbie? Right. Because Godzilla, Thief, all these other things that they Toy Story, they were showing off. And I was like, why Barbie? And they're like, simply put, this is a demographic that got so many people into gaming that were not otherwise. Primarily young girls into gaming, but like in general, that's a genre that's underserved now. Like there's a lot of very popular Barbie games, cozy games, that kind of thing, but it was a pathway into it. And they said they really think they have an opportunity to demonstrate that, showcase that, and preserve it in the best of ways. And so I was really, really happy to see that. Also happy to see they're not backing down from GTA's release date. That was a chuckle. I
know. Yeah. Of all the people out there willing to stick their neck out and release in November, like Barbie versus GTA 6, I'm going to root for Barbie, honestly. Yeah. I think Barbie's a bigger IP.
Go get them.
So there was another thing. I think there's like a DLC launch in November as well too. And I'm like, cool. So you've got Barbie or Grand Theft Auto. It's going to be the Doom and Isabelle from Animal Crossings of 2020.
Yeah. Are you able to talk about Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I think the embargoes. I'm going to do a proper preview of it. But I'm going to the embargo's up on that one. One sec, actually.
Here, you go ahead and cough. I want to talk about my Grounded 2 interaction because that was really
Yeah.
interesting. Because obviously Grounded 2 is out in early access, but they've got the Into the Abyss update coming later this year, and they're also arriving on the PlayStation 5, which is interesting, right? Like I
Yeah,
have
that
no
was so weird.
it I don't is it weird? Like that's the part that I think is a nebulous conversation for the back half of the show where we're gonna talk about like what exclusives mean. But which I'm tired of having that conversation. But it was neat to see. I fought King Dozer. Did
Yep.
you play in that one?
Yeah,
Or
I
were you
did.
filming? You did. Okay. So
I
we
did
fought King
both.
Dozer. Oh, look at you. That was really neat to go through that boss battle. Getting to watch Joe play it as well because he hadn't played Grounded 2 was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Grounded 2 is really good, right? Like you sold me on it way early on a year ago. To
Yeah.
see how far that game has come is amazing. And I'm 50 plus hours into the launch version, but I stepped back because like I know they have more content coming.
Yep.
They're arriving with Into the Abyss, more buggies, new boss battles, arriving on PlayStation 5. This game is coming along so well. And the dev team is the most welcoming group of any Xbox property I've worked with, of any PR property I've worked with. They want to answer questions. They want to talk to people. They were anxious and excited to show off their stuff in the best of ways. And like the PR person, I don't know that she wants her name out there, but like could not have been kinder, remembered me from the first one, asked about my classroom, asked about how my life was going, gave me the biggest hug, and set up more things to work on for more grounded content. And I was just so appreciative of that because the game looks great and they were excited about their game. And that's cool. That's just a nice feeling. And that's the benefit of these in-person meetings as well.
Yeah, it was nice to get to talk to Chris again and just kind of find out, like, you know, because I've always wondered, like, with the way that they've done Grounded 2, they've kind of created these like tank, DPS, rogue, mage kind of character builds with the types of like weapons and armor that they've had. And I've always kind of wondered, I was like, well, why didn't you guys ever do like a healer? You know, like, why don't you have like one out there? And he was really upfront. He's like, you know, we thought about that, but then we were kind of concerned that people would pick healer as a solo player, and it just would not be a satisfying experience because they wouldn't really be able to kill anything. And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. It's just it's such a like a thing that you have to take into consideration that I just hadn't done so in the past. So they were very open to talking about it. I think Dozer still got some things that they need to work out as far as like the fight goes. Because I do think that the fight was it was cool, but it definitely could use a little more polish. But I am definitely invested in when they come out with the Into the Abyss, the Park Pond update later this year. I think that'll be really cool.
I think also some of our frustration had to do with we're playing in a crowded area, people that didn't know what they were doing with pre-builds and stuff like that. So, you know, take that for what you will. But I've not even heard your thoughts on Tomb Raider. Are you able to talk about it?
Yeah, Tomb Raider, I'm pretty sure embargo's been out for a bit now, but Legacy of Lannis, holy cow. Amazon Games is publishing this one. Crystal Dynamics is helping like with the experience and what to expect, but Flying Wild Hog, who previously had done like Evil West, which was really fun, is picking up the reins on this one. And I've genuinely been impressed with the demo. I think it was like a 30-minute demo that I got on that one. It's Tomb Raider, but it's Tomb Raider 1 reimagined. And it's been a long time since I played the original like 3 Tomb Raider games on like from like PlayStation era. Never jumped into the Aspire remasters. I've heard that there were issues with them, so I just never bothered to pick those up. But Tomb Raider, man, that is a fantastic experience. I really enjoyed the kind of you're kind of dropped into the middle of Peru. You're instantly kind of like put up against this puzzle where you have to try and go and find like the different cogs to be able to get this elevator system to be working. You can scan parts of like the ancient ruins to kind of like see, you know, get some history on them and stuff. But there's like cooking and there's like cooking that's built into it now for like health pots and stuff as you kind of run around and pick things up. a la I would say like Avatar and or The Last Frontier. And I was just really, really happy with it. The one feedback that I think everyone's going to kind of rail against is the jump, which the jump itself feels very flighty, and in the sense that you feel like you're almost in low gravity. But to that point, I would say that the jump felt very akin to like the first Tomb Raider game.
Mm-hmm.
And because I mean, it was just one of those things, like it was just a very long jump. It's a jump that obviously would not really be possible with like actual human physics and stuff like that. But again, it's one of those things like, dude, I'm playing a video game where I'm getting attacked by raptors and a T-Rex in the Peru forest. Am I really going to nitpick about like how high she can jump or how far she can jump in this kind of thing? But it looked great. We were playing on PCs, so I can't speak to the console experience. I can only speak to like the demo experience, but it played really, really well. The frame rate was good. The fidelity was there. The combat was really cool. Laura's got the she's got this like time dilation where she does some acrobatics and it slows down time, and you can actually like narrow in focus on fighting. So when you get thrown into the mix where you're having to battle like a few raptors, that time dilation option is really cool. Allows you to get like the kind of like headshots and stuff on the raptors that I was wanting to do. And she's got her dual wield pistols and stuff. It just feels so cool to do that. And after that, it kind of goes into like the raptor or the T-Rex chase where you're having to get away from the T-Rex. And honestly, like, I mean, I've already pre-ordered the collector's edition because it's got Laura with the T-Rex as a statue, which is in a really nice steel book. But that was one where I was like, this is cool. I've reached out to them to see about interviews. Their next bet is Gamescom, but unfortunately we're not going to Gamescom. But with it coming out in February, there's plenty of time to be able to make opportunities to reach out to the devs to talk about the game. They've already released a really cool video that kind of like dives into the voice actress and body representation of the actress who's playing Laura and her kind of perspective on taking on that kind of an iconic character. But this version of Tomb Raider feels a lot like what I think we can talk about later if we have time, which is the Legend of Zelda remake. And having that like the old school like PS1 N64 polygon perspection and like letting us have like our imagination kind of fill in the gaps. The Legacy of Atlantis feels like what that was back in the day. Like we filled in the gaps with our imagination back then. Now we're getting like fully realized like worlds and discussions and stuff, and the different biomes with the places that you're going to be traveling to in Tomb Raider look amazing. I'm 100% on board with like the voice acting that they've shown off so far. I can't wait for like whatever the story is going to be. It feels like a really fun kind of like blockbuster movie version of Tomb Raider compared to the very dark and dire like Tomb Raiders that have recently come out. With Crystal Dynamics and stuff. It's like the first Tomb Raider of the new ones. They're like, kill this deer, and I'm like, oh god, do I have to? And they're like, you're starving, and I'm like, okay, this is the tone. This is the tone we're going with. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, we're not here for the adventure.
I'm excited to see how that one lands because it's Amazon, because there's a lot going on with it. And so it'll be interesting to watch the reception for that, because Tomb Raider to me is an undervalued property. I just think it is. I think people prefer Nathan Drake, and I don't understand it really. And
I do. I do. I 100% understand that.
I just think that trilogy was so good, and the legacy of Tomb Raider is powerful. But this game looks great, and I'm glad to hear that you were positive on it for sure.
Feels great, dude. Doing the like the drop into the water, like the swan dive into the water, a la like Assassin's Creed or something. Oh man, it just takes you back. It's so cool. It feels like that kind of, if you've been hungering for an Uncharted and have been wanting that kind of like, and wanted a little bit more action out of the Indiana Jones game, I would definitely say take a look at Tomb Raider, because I think that is going to scratch that itch in like that third person action adventure game that has like puzzles and stuff. And the thing that I think I'm going to touch on in my impressions video on this, that I'll share now, is Laura is alone. She doesn't need a companion to tell her what's going on. She doesn't need like someone kind of like giving you hints or little like pointing out things around the environment. Oh, that looks like that could be something you could definitely use for this. No, it's just there. You figure it out. You go wander around and figure it out on your own. And I think having that kind of hands-off approach right now was it was a very welcome change to like what I think a lot of games have done a little too much of lately, which is just kind of like tell you how to solve the problem before you even get a chance to try it.
Is there a release date for that one?
February 12th. I want to say February 12th.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a good date for that. I like that.
Yeah,
good time for that one. I got to go hands off, but talk to the devs of Saw Genesis, which I was interested in because obviously it's no secret I love Dead by Daylight, but we've seen asymmetrical horror games consistently die. And when I first saw the trailer for Saw Genesis, I was like, let's go. And then I saw it was an asymmetrical horror, and I was like, that is excited. So I went in there with questions, and to their credit, they fielded those questions. Like they were willing to answer them. And I asked hard questions about like, what are you doing? Like, and I was much more eloquent with it, but I was like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to survive in this space where we've watched Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and a bunch of others, Predator die, and only Dead by Daylight is remaining. For some reason, they're making a Halloween game, and they said it's fair. And then they went in and showed a lot of the differences between like how they're operating asymmetrical horror versus Dead by Daylight. And a quick aside before I continue, there is Saw franchise content in Dead by Daylight that they said they do not believe is getting pulled or anything like that. So it's interesting that it will exist in two places. I like that. I think that's great. Especially because we're getting a nice refresh on DVD tomorrow, I think. But what I'm getting at is they were willing to answer that tough question. And they do have a lot of differences in asymmetrical horror. They can, the killer, the mastermind, as it were, who's running the traps and such, can be killed by the survivors. That's an interesting approach to that, which is really neat. They have some really creative level design, really cool visual tropes, and they really are diving into that Saw aesthetic. It's also 100 years prior to the movies, which is fascinating as well, because it's existing with World War I, so you have a lot of like PTSD going on. I don't know how this game's going to do. I really don't. I don't know if it survives. I don't know that any asymmetrical horror game survives anymore, even the ones that I'm excited for, like Halloween. But I thought their presentation was good, and they really have a lot of passion for it. So it was a very good session, a very good QA session. I was very interested to see what goes on. And like my eyes are on Saw Genesis with a new level of optimism that I didn't necessarily have prior to. So that was just one that I wanted to mention. I also saw another horror game that I'm not going to go deep into, but called The Lost Wild.
Oh, the Jurassic Park, not Jurassic Park game?
Yeah. Chef's kiss. What I saw was good.
That's cool. Yeah. I've been watching the Jurassic Park Survivor game and wondering why. And when we saw that at SGF too, I was like, is this real? Are they doing a real? And then it was the Lost Worlds, and I was like, what? With it?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Why are there two games being made of the same thing and one's real and one's not?
Well, The Lost Wild, I was very pleased with that session. It was good.
That's cool.
PS Trophy Room says, I just wanted to tell you guys that I love you and I miss you. And I will say to you, Joe, I really do miss Light and Kyle. You know, had some good conversations with them. Well, moving on. Let's see.
Anyway.
Yep. No, Joe, I miss you too, buddy. We went hands-on with Blood Message, which we've got a preview up on the channel right now.
Yeah.
But hands-on with Blood Message, we played that before anybody, Logan.
Yeah.
And we were like, we were kind of lukewarm, but we were like, we liked a lot of it. We just weren't like thrilled. And then everybody else played it and was like, did you see it?
Well,
which almost retroactively impacted us.
I would say that I was impressed with the combat, very much impressed with the combat, but I came away with it immediately knowing these guys are like 3 years off. And at that point, I was like, I appreciate the guys are making this. I think what you guys are doing is really exceptional, but I'm not going to invest a whole lot of time into this until like you guys, because we were playing it and there were obviously issues. I'm not going to necessarily like lay out all the flaws for them, but I will say that they've got a long road ahead of them before, and I think I would like to see a lot more from them in terms of stability down the line, because it was a really good showing. It was a really nice vertical slice, but it was not polished the way a lot of other stuff was at that showcase. And I think that while I think that what they're doing is something unique in the industry, especially coming from like a AA perspective, they definitely have a long developmental road for them. And I hope that they take that time to really invest in it. Cause I'm not sure when they started, but if they plan on coming out in 2027, I will be very curious to see how that plays out.
I think that's too soon for that game.
Yeah.
I will say Chinese developers tend to have a very fast development time.
Yeah.
With strong success rates, but it looked like it was early. But I will tell you, watching you, I felt like I was watching Samurai Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
The kicker with that, because all the stealth and stuff, is we've seen that a couple times now. And my standout one is Assassin's Creed Shadows. But like, we got a lot of this Japanese style aesthetic. Now, this is specifically Chinese, Sang Dynasty, 1850 AD, or is it 850 AD? I can't remember.
I thought it was 18. I thought it was 816. You keep adding the 18 as if it was like in the middle of the pirates. No, it's not pirate era. It is 816 or 859 or something around then.
Gotcha. Well, Sang Dynasty, but it's Chinese, not Japanese. But the aesthetic, I think people are gonna lump it in with some of the other stuff that people have seen, and that worries me for them because their combat was heavy.
The trouble with the combat is that it feels so natural in a contextual aspect that I think people are going to mistake it as scripted, which it is technically scripted, but you could play through the same fight multiple times, and depending on where you are when you're doing that fight, you're going to run into different scripted things. In that it adds a weight and perspective on the actual fights that I think is missed if you're only going to ever play through that fight like one time, because it's going to feel unique, but you're going to think everyone has the same exact experience because you're just playing in a vacuum at that point. So I was very happy with what their design implementation is. I just think that they need more time in the oven.
Yeah,
with that. But story is interesting. I'm hoping that there is an English dialogue, like a voiceover that comes with it at one point, because I think that is one thing that would help a lot of people kind of along with it. I just hope they don't go the route that Capcom did with Onimusha, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, is that what you want to get into, is Capcom?
I think we haven't talked about Capcom. I think we might as well.
Okay. Well, before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to our patrons and channel members. Thank you guys for supporting XP. You guys got us to Summer Game Fest, where we could give you these impressions, go hands on, go hands off, and see these things, have these conversations. So we just want to give it comfortable and appreciative shout outs to our tier 2 and 3 and 4 members for patreon.com/the expansion pass. Big shout outs to Omen, Fado, Jimmy, Glyfear, Talzochi, Korkenstein, TT Dog 666, Clutch Kwando, Dano 12, Red Beast, Hafrican, Aaron G, Jesse Norris, Kevin Ballou, Nick Bentley, Nicholas Johnson, Ken Rosing, Matt Valdez, Fabian Winkler, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Rob Raleigh II, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, The Scarecrow, Randall Thor 19, Regis Stella, the Brony Pirate, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, and Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler. Thank you guys for supporting XP. We greatly appreciate you. You got us to a very special event, and we are grateful to all of you. And we know we have a bunch of questions about SGF, which we're going to give our answers to after we talk about Capcom, because we got to go to a theater presentation, Logan, for Resident Evil Veronica and Onimusha Way of the Sword. So let's talk first about Veronica, because it's not Code Veronica, which they addressed in my QA session. And they talked about when we saw this game at SGF proper, the room went nuts. The room went absolutely nuts. Resident Evil Veronica getting the remake treatment that we've seen 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, and 4 get, and the quality bar that we've seen from Resident Evil's 7, 8, and 9. So it's just so cool to see Veronica. This is one that I didn't play back in the day, and I love Resident Evil. So really, really cool. Got a big pop. And then we got to go to a theater presentation separately, mind you, of where the producer was in the room speaking through a translator, answering questions, which I thought was really great.
Yeah. Veronica, one of the ones that I played on Dreamcast back in the day. Obviously, like she's going after trying to find out where her brother is in France, and it's just calamity ensues. Takes place right after 3, and it was just really cool. It was a game that I cherished, because back in the day, like the freaking Dreamcast was a beast of a system. You know, it was like the first 128-bit console out there. Games looked so good on that and Shenmue, Soul Calibur 2. So many really good games showed up on that one. Crazy Taxi, Choo Choo Rocket, Space Channel 5. You know, it's like amazing. Madden. God, so many amazing games on that Dreamcast. And Capcom was there, man. So like Veronica has always kind of been like off in the wings. Like they obviously had a PS2 version of it, which I think was called X back in the day. I don't remember. But they had like versions that they brought to like PS2 and then GameCube later on. But the trailer for this, like I had no expectations on what it was, and I didn't know how they were gonna like present Veronica. But it was really, really awesome to kind of see this from the get-go, getting to hear the producer talk about how they kicked up development right after 4. Mm-hmm. And we're already knew that they were going to be doing Veronica. Was so nice to hear that it was not just a choice they made. I tried to find out if there was any kind of like work between Requiem's team and Veronica's team, because obviously you've got dual protagonists in both. Was there any kind of like discussions about how to approach that, and specifically if they were going to allow first person in Veronica the way that they did with Requiem. And unfortunately, they're kind of staying true to form with Veronica. They're going to keep it in third person, which I respect. I think a lot of people kind of understand, like the remakes are kind of staying true to the design, or at least like the way it was presented back in the day, and letting the new games kind of take on the mantle of bringing in new design options. So I'm totally fine with that. But it was really kind of cool to hear the producer be so passionate about it. I also asked if they were going to announce who was going to be doing the voice for Veronica, and they said that they wouldn't announce who it was, but fans of Veronica shouldn't worry, which to me is cool, because I'm pretty sure it's Allison who's going to be doing it. Which, if that's the case, that's cool, because it's nice that the voice actors, if they're still around, are able to kind of reprise their roles in characters that were, Veronica was like what, 1999? We're 27 years removed from her role as Veronica. It hasn't really been a character that's really been brought back into other Resident Evil. So having that opportunity to like bring back people so much longer, like your voice doesn't really change over the years. So it's really kind of cool to kind of have that opportunity, or at least that knowledge to see like, how far did they go with it?
Mm-hmm. I thought was also interesting. You were talking about how they kicked up development. You know, when asked who's directing the game, they were like, a lot of us. You know, like the general principle was like a lot of people that worked on all of these various Resident Evil projects from 4 on are helping to direct the game. And so it was a nebulous answer, but it was interesting because there's no one clear set director. There's a lot of them coming in from different Resident Evil projects to help this one. Yeah. But there's still a clear, concise vision. And one of the reasons they dropped code from the name is because they view Veronica as a mainline Resident Evil title. So it doesn't necessarily need to be numbered, but it is they consider it a mainline story. And so they've kind of like Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil Veronica. Like they're doing that with a lot of the mainline ones in this kind of new approach. So I appreciated that simplistic and appropriate answer as well. But I was excited to see Veronica make its return. I don't think anybody take care, Clutch. Good to see you, buddy. I don't think anybody has any reason to doubt Capcom at this point. And I mean Capcom, not just Resident Evil, because from the Monster Hunter games, which have a high quality bar, even that expansion looking good, like to Onimusha, which we saw looked absolutely amazing. It was just, there's no reason to doubt Capcom at this point. They are carrying the torch for quality of third party games. And I am just here for it. Ron Slusher, screw Resident Evil, House of the Dead for life, baby. All right. I hope you get what you like, because House of the Dead was a fun franchise back in the day. But I really thought this was just a good showing, and so shout out to them.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of have them. Like, we didn't get the kind of like expanded video that we did last year with Requiem, where we got to see a little bit more of like what was going to be going on. I would have loved to have seen anything outside of the trailer that we had already saw at Summer Games Fest for Veronica, but I don't know. It's
the
one of those
attention
ones.
Was on Onimusha. That's why.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that was another thing. Like after we got done talking to the producer for Code Veronica, or for Veronica, they jumped right into Onimusha Way of the Sword, and it was very interesting to see that. It feels very much like an OG Onimusha, and honestly, like I'm totally down for that, because I loved that franchise back on PS2. I think they did a really good job of kind of taking you through like an average mission on that. I think the one thing that kind of like was weird to me was the English voice acting that they had for it. They had characters that had British accents, and I think that was unsettling, giving the setting for Onimusha. For an English, I think I would have preferred a much more neutral accent if they were going to do English voiceover for that. But honestly, I'm just hoping that they have like a Japanese voice option for that, because I will absolutely just read the subtitles on that one and listen to the Japanese, because the lip syncing was for the Japanese as well too. Yeah. So aside from like the obvious disparity between like what their mouth shape is making and the voices that are coming out in a very proper British accent, I was like, this is really cool. I can't wait to kill the Genjins and, just like go slaughter a bunch of demons and suck up all their souls and stuff like that, and clear all the corruption. But that's a game that I don't think I need to be sold on. I think they've done a really good job of reintroducing Onimusha as a IP, where it's been dormant for 10 years or something. It's been a while since we've had an Onimusha game.
A new one. We've had the remakes, or the remasters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've had the remasters. Yeah. But yeah, a new entry into the franchise is definitely welcome. I think anyone that's been familiar with them will like it. I think anyone that enjoys kind of that third person, like melee, like if you've played Assassin's Creed Shadows, if you've played Ninja Gaiden, if you've played any type of game like that, chances are you're probably going to enjoy Onimusha. I know I enjoyed Onimusha more than the Ninja Gaiden series back when it was like the two kind of battling each other back in the day. Like Xbox had Ninja Gaiden, PlayStation had Onimusha. I always leaned more towards PlayStation 2 back then, so that was a really, really good showing.
So we've not talked about every game that we've played at SGF Play Days or seen. We haven't talked about all of them, but I think we've talked about enough of them. We've done coverage recapping our feelings on SGF and the Xbox Game Showcase, Logan. Now the question becomes, we have a lot of listener questions in our notes here.
Yeah.
So let's start by saying, who do we think had the best showcase between the PlayStation State of Play, Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, and Nintendo Direct? Who do we think showed up the best in this summer event? I have my rankings. I open it up to you first.
It's really tough because, to be perfectly honest, Summer Games Fest really did a good job this year. There was a lot less of Jeff saying, I personally had a hand in finding this game and bringing it to you guys today. I can't wait to show you. And a lot more of like, here's the game. And the games were good. It's really tough, dude. I think for time's sake, I think Xbox edges a little bit further ahead of SGF just because I feel like they had less filler. But I mean, they put out a survey like asking my thoughts on it. And I was bluntly honest. I was like, there were a couple of the AA indies and stuff that I thought would have been good at the ID Xbox that showed up in this one. I think the live service updates were nice to know, but it wasn't like as big of bangers. I think you guys could have absolutely like trimmed out some of that and kept it a little bit shorter and just had like the new stuff that you guys wanted to promote. That were kind of like the big things. So I honestly kind of have to give it to Xbox. I think Xbox eked out just a little bit better of like really awesome trailers and deep dives compared to Summer Games Fest. But that's a hard thing to try and like argue.
Yeah. No, I had my ranking at Xbox kind of in front with SGF nipping at its heels. Like both showcases were A+ in my mind.
Really good.
Like truly, I thought they were both great. And then I thought PlayStation came quite well with some good stuff. I really liked PlayStation State of Play. And sadly, much to my chagrin, I might add, Nintendo Direct really did disappoint me, really did let me down for a number of reasons. I was really bummed about that one. So for me, it was the difference maker was that SGF had some really great surprises with, Resident Evil Veronica, The Last Ronin, and a couple others. Like I really thought 1866 Amsterdam looked really cool.
1666.
16. Thank you. There were a number.
Doing the 18.
What are you gonna do?
You just need to play Assassin's Creed Black Flag and get the pirate out of your system.
Maybe so. But I really did like a lot of the SGF announcements. And then when I went to the Xbox showcase and looked at that one, and of course I acknowledge for any listener, we're in the room for those, right? So that's a little bit different, but like Xbox brought so many first party announcements, trailers, showcases, like showpieces that I think sold on that one. I wanted more first party from Sony. They showed up with God of War and Wolverine, which I thought was impressive. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm lukewarm on Wolverine, by the way. I don't know why. Cause like I shouldn't be, but
Looks awesome.
It does look awesome. And like, I know that it's just not clicking with me right now. But
I can't wait.
I'm excited for you. And I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on it truly. But, I thought Sony did a really good job, but they didn't have a lot of first party. It's the same problem with Nintendo. But Xbox had the most first party, and a lot of the announcements that PlayStation normally would get, Keeley showed up with. A lot of that Capcom love and stuff. So it's like, all right.
Capcom, Square, dude, Gen Atlas,
Gen Atlas looked cool. Gen Atlas looked really cool. I was surprised by that one. That was one of my biggest surprises, which I know was one of our questions. Like Todd asked what our biggest surprises were. Last Ronin got a pop from me because it's IP, but it's also Last Ronin specifically.
Yeah.
But Gen Atlas was one that I did not see coming. Like, you could have asked me about Capcom and I might have predicted Veronica.
Yeah.
Whereas Gen Atlas out of nowhere, I'm like, this is a game that it looks a little more actiony than Shadow of the Colossus. So I was like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did like that one. That was a big surprise for me.
I would to answer Todd's question, the biggest surprise for me was absolutely Wolf Among Us 2 and the remaster of 1 coming later this year. I can't even remember. There was a Heroes of the Storm streamer, Trickster or Trixler, who was playing it off one day, and I was like, what is this? And I was watching him play it, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I downloaded it, played through Wolf Among Us, and I was like, holy crap, this is like a type of game that I didn't realize existed. And finding out like Telltale games like Wolf Among Us sold me on like narrative games that I'm like, I don't know. It's not a 3D platformer. It's not a shooter. It's dead to me. So I was very impressed with that. But to hear that Wolf Among Us 2 is scheduled for 2027, dude, I'm so excited, especially after playing games like Dispatch and stuff. I'm so excited to see where Wolf Among Us 2 goes, because it's just it was such an excellent representation of a noir story using grim fairy tales characters that that's just not a thing. Like Alice is like the closest representation of that. And we just don't have that type of storytelling with those characters at all. Yeah. So that was but yeah, Last Ronin. Oh, dude, I can't wait. I did not know what was going on until I think the Psy hitting the water was the obvious thing. But dude, that whole like kind of setup, I was like, is this going to be really cool? I think this is going to be really cool. I can't wait.
When I saw, I knew almost immediately. And like, I don't know why I knew, like I just did when I saw the sewer, not the sewer cover, but like just the sewer.
The tube.
I did the thing where I like grabbed your arm. I don't know if you remember that. Like I like reached over and I was like, oh yeah. And I just knew. Personal space. Just know. Yeah, I violated that. Which, that was just the coolest thing for me to see Last Ronin kind of pop up there and show up the way that it did. And what I liked is it got a nice pop from everybody in the room, which tells me it's not just a Luke lore thing, which I like, right? Like the Xbox showcase was built for Luke lore, but the Summer Game Fest one, to see the Last Ronin pop there was really, really cool.
Bro,
Crossfire also was a nice surprise. I did not expect to like Crossfire, which I learned yesterday. That is related to the Smilegate Crossfire, because we were lamenting in the car, like, why would they call it that? Because like it's Naughty Dog developers and it's a narrative, and like, why do that? And that's why. Cool. Good on them.
That's cool.
That was cool. Yeah. I do want to go into a little bit more explanation for why I'm edging Xbox above SGF. SGF came correct. Like to have Final Fantasy in there, Final Fantasy 7 Revelation at the end. What a great closer. Yeah. Power World getting a nice trailer. Like there was a lot of really good stuff. Closing with Final Fantasy is a big deal for Summer Game Fest, because
Tupac.
Yep. I can't be mad about everything. That's not my fight. Like I'm very tired of this is gonna alienate me, I think, and I'm okay with it at this point. There are a lot of people that virtue signal why they do or don't like something, like people lamenting Crazy Taxi because they initially built backgrounds with Gen AI and then had artists take over. The same thing can be said for Tomb Raider as well. Like I really don't have the energy to get upset, and it was very clear to me while we were on site that there are a number of content creators who do not understand AI. They do not understand how it works. They don't understand how embedded it is into the daily life. And they'll virtue signal, I just don't like it. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the level of intricacy, the level of implementation. And it was very clear that some people were taking stances without understanding the stances. And it's for anybody to decide on their own what they like or don't like or value or don't value, but understanding where it exists in the conversation of gaming. You cannot be upset that games take a long time to make and then lament the solution for that. You cannot be upset at budgets and then lament the solution for that. You also cannot go out and say that you dislike this one thing for any environmental reason or any principled value, and then go on and talk about it and not understand the realities that come from it. AI exists prominently. It is used by almost every major studio, if not every major studio, in some way, shape, or form. Even generative AI, as it exists in a vacuum, is not a bad thing. I think people virtue signal and discuss it in a way that shows they do not understand it, and there are simply too many complexities to just declaratively say it's bad or it's good. And I got very disappointed to hear and watch a number of people speak on it without knowing and going what's going on with it. And what brought me into this line of thinking was the Tupac and Snoop Dogg stuff.
Yeah.
Tupac's estate is under debate. Okay. Like that is a real thing. Sleazy corporations and such, fine. Snoop Dogg's legacy under debate. Okay, fine. But I do not understand. Like Snoop Dogg got a massive pop in that room. Huge pop. Everyone went nuts. And then you have some people coming out saying, well, is he a good person? Not my fight to have. Not my place to cast judgment on people that have opinions either, past the point of I can't be upset at everything. I want to be excited for video games. And that will come up in our conversation in a few minutes with Asha Sharma and her 100 days. But simply put, seeing Tupac up there, that's a big deal, right? People are excited for that. I think the social spaces might choose to be upset. Yeah. Fine. That's their right to do. But I think people need to be researched and well informed before they cast these broad statements across socials. Are you going to buy it? Like people, it's the same thing goes back to Call of Duty. I apologize for the tangent, but people
it's going to be on Game Pass Ultimate day one, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and not for nothing, like people are like, oh, Call of Duty is boycott. Continues to be the number one bestseller. Like, don't virtue signal for the sake of it, and then go support it. And I don't mind. Like, I'm not going to play Strangers in Heaven because it's not my kind of game, but I have no problem that they're there. That's not my fight to have. I'm going to play and enjoy the games.
Yep. I cannot play Hogwarts Legacy and then have clutch my pearls at generative AI in other areas. Like it's everyone's going to have their line. You have to decide where that is. Mm-hmm. I think the important thing is do what you feel is right for you as a consumer and where your morals lie, and fight the battles that you think you can win. And sometimes those battles are much bigger than what we want, but I don't think that expending energy and mental stress on stuff that you have no control over is good for your mental health. But I will absolutely support anyone who decides not to support something because of a choice that was made somewhere in the pipeline. I would, again, just urge everyone, try and do some digging on it and don't just take face value from what pundits and content creators say about it.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. I'm very excited for Crazy Taxi and I plan to play it.
Yeah.
Simply put, like, I don't care that there was generative AI used at one small portion of it. The same, like Crimson, was it Assassin's Creed or Crimson Desert that like had it in a picture and people were mad about it. I just don't care. Like that's not a thing for me to be upset about if I want shorter development times.
One of the things that I think gets lost in the sauce is that a lot of the conversations around that, and I don't want to spend too long on this, but a lot of the generative AI artwork that is being done at the level that it's done at studios tends to be from like in-house agents that are built up. Like it's not just them going to Google Gemini and saying like, hey, build me this asset, or them going to Copilot and saying, hey, build me, or ChatGPT and say, hey, build me this asset. It's them using like very specific agents. Like my company that I work for, we operate with, I think, 6 different agents of AI, but each of those agents is very specifically tailored for our company using our information and no one else's. And it's like that, and that's not an art thing. That is just a tool thing. And it's one of those things. A lot of these studios are feeding their own artwork into this stuff to generate stuff that they prototyped, and they just want to see, will this work? If it works, cool. Green light the process, strip it, give it to the artists, and let the actual artists work on it without wasting time and energy on building stuff that is not actually going to be fun.
There you go. Yep. Simple. Works for me. I do want to not skip over Nissa's question, getting us back on track here. She asks, what were the non-big games, indie or AA, that we found interesting? I thought the Cuphead reveal was pretty cool. Like
Cuphead's pretty big. I would say Cuphead's pretty big. Is Cuphead not still big?
It's not AAA.
Yeah.
You know, I think both Cuphead announcements were neat. I enjoyed what we saw from Grave Seasons, because I wasn't interested in that until I watched your preview. Thought that was cool.
I mean, ever since that one got announced, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I definitely dig that.
Did you have any that stood out for you?
I'll say that Stellar Blade 2 sold me a lot more on the franchise than the first game did. This one looked a lot more like action based. That and the characters and the artwork just were so cyberpunk that I was like, okay, I'll pay a little more attention to this now. So I think it was like Blood Rain. I can't remember what it was called. Which is ironic because I think that's an old franchise name, but I think they separated it. But anyway, yeah, Stellar Blade 2. There was another one that I was looking at too. That Power World 1.0 getting announced was cool, because to be perfectly honest, they have been fighting Nintendo on the whole Pokemon thing.
They won.
Winning. Like, I'm stoked for them on that one. Like, congrats. You guys, you had an idea, you capitalized on it, you had your legal things, and you went to court with them and showed Nintendo that, like, it is okay for you to have a mechanic in a game that is similar to other ones. Because, like, we saw Dragon Quest Monsters get announced as well on the Nintendo Direct, which is basically a Pokemon, but in Dragon Quest world. And I'm like, people should, like, you can synthesize two monsters together to get a more powerful monster. It's evolution. It's Pokemon evolution. You fight monsters against other monsters. You're two trainers out in the middle of nowhere who have to survive. It's like, it's Pokemon. It's Pokemon, but I'm tired of Pokemon getting a pass for the lackluster generations that they continue to put out. Have competition out there. Let competition thrive. It'll push your studios to do better. And dude, I was genuinely just like very excited to just be like, this is awesome. I'm very glad for Power World getting 1.0. I will absolutely jump into Power World again to see like what's changed and how things are going over there. But yeah, congrats to that studio for being able to come out and actually have them hit a 1.0 launch date on that, which I think is July. I think it's July, coming out soon.
Yeah, nope, nailed it. I think it is soon. I do think it is soon. I thought it was neat to see the amount of indies was appropriate for the level of showcase, right? Indies don't thrive always in a SGF or Xbox game showcase. They get drowned out by the big games, which I'm okay with, by the way, those being bigger games, because there are really good showcases for people interested in cozy games. The Wholesome Direct took place. They had the Mix, which I think you went to, and saw Wild Blue, which I'm really envious of. That game looks cool.
I forgot about that. I'll have to take a look at it, but there's a Wasabi. There's a sushi roll racing game. It's a derby game. It's hilarious. I'll have to dig up the card. But there was literally like a little derby race where there's these little cute little sushi rolls running around a table, and you have to like build up your sushi based on like the different components and like the different like bits of sushi that you would have, give you like different perks and stuff. But it's like you have it's like a 1-button boost, and that's like your little sushi just trots a little bit faster, but you have to do so like when your order is up, little chopsticks come in and try and snag your little sushi roll, and you have to like dash away. It's adorable. But dude, that was such a good one. There was also another one at the mix that I thought was really cool. It was the Castlevania Adventure of Simon's Curse, I think is the title for it. It looks like Castlevania Simon's Curse. It looks like the old school, because I used to go to like a cocktail table at Macayo's in Phoenix, Arizona, when my parents used to take me out for like dinner at a Mexican restaurant, and it was either Mrs. Pac-Man or Castlevania. And this Castlevania is so true to the old school like 8-bit Castlevanias that I was like, dude, this is hard and really fun. So there was but that on top of Wild Blue was really awesome. There were a whole bunch of really good little indie games at the mix that I'll have to see if I can dig up some of them, because Grave Seasons was there as well. But yeah, there was a lot of really good opportunities to check out some indie games that people probably didn't ever see because they weren't part of any showcase. But the mix was like a nice little rooftop, little get together.
Super Luca-lele cart. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say. They need to make a new game. I know the racing games out there, but them boys, as much as I love Kevin Bayless and them, those boys need to come up with a new game. They got to stop remaking the same game.
One of our patrons, Kevin Ballou, asks, haven't really heard much about backward compatibility. Was there any talk about it at SGF for the Xbox showcase? None that I heard. I didn't hear any of that. And we had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about a lot of stuff, and that was not one of them.
No.
So sorry about that one. Another patron, Tyribo, asked a couple of questions of us. I'm going to put a few of them in here. I think we've sort of tangentially answered some of it, but one of the questions they asked was, SGF is picking up more views and player sentiment. Do you think publishers and developers are now starting to see it as a better alternative to show off their games as opposed to partnering with the State of Play and Xbox Showcase? Code Veronica and the new Stellar Blade are examples of this. It's a great question. I think it very much depends on who's willing to pay what. So in PlayStation's case, we know they're hurting. Despite selling 90+ million units, they're not doing well. And that's interesting. So to see Capcom, to see Jeff pull Capcom, Code Veronica, and then pull Final Fantasy, there's definitely a sentiment of we don't want to be in an exclusive space for a lot of major third parties, specifically Square Enix and Capcom noting that. So I do think SGF is picking up momentum in that case, and PlayStation seems to have soured its grapes a bit with its relationships as far as being exclusive, because they were money hatting a lot of those things. Now, that's not to say it's going to go away, right, in any way, shape, or form, but I do think there are a lot of companies that are realizing exclusivity as a third party is not necessarily the way to go. And then in Xbox's case, Xbox has such a vast portfolio right now that they were able to show in their own showcase Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty, State of Decay, Senua,
Doom.
Fable, Doom, Elder Scrolls Online, Sea of Thieves. There's one other major.
Microsoft Flight Simulator had the park update as well.
Yep. There was one other like first party one. So they had so many things under their own umbrella that there was no reason to crowd that showcase. Oh, it was Clockwork. That was the one I was thinking of. So it was crowded. Thank you, Silken. I see you, buddy. Good to see you, by the way. Hope you're doing well. So I think that was the nature for this one. It is interesting, though, because how many showcases can you show? You know what I mean? You've got SGF, you've got the Game Awards, you've got Gamescom, then you've got Xbox, not Insider, Xbox Dev Direct, State of Plays, Nintendo Directs. Like, there's only so many showcases that people are interested in. Like, nobody watches the ID at Xbox events. So
Rude.
it's just we're talking like big numbers. Just call it how it is, right? Asha Sharma's new thing is transparency, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So do I think SGF is picking up views and sentiment? Yes, but I don't know that that's a result of Keeley, though maybe it is, right? Like full credit to him. SGF rocked this year. He did a great job with pacing. So I think right now it's a matter of exclusivity doesn't help. Go ahead.
I got to talk to him actually. The first day, like I went to SGF. I went to go get a pizza because Luke had a pizza, and I was like, "Where's pizza?" And he's like, "Up at the front." And I'm like, "Oh, so the other side of the compound." He's like, "Yes," and I'm like, all right, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, sure. I'll walk across the complex to go get this pizza. So I got my pizza.
Not a far walk. Do not. These poor people over here.
It's a quarter mile.
Hey, we got a super chat. First one of the day. It's me, the broke boy. $2 super chat says your thoughts on Halo being pulled from State of Play story. Unconfirmed. Sounds like it happened. I like it.
I think it was a ballsy move, and if Sony's pissed off about that, good.
Yep, I like Xbox being transparent and playing for keeps. I like 2 exclusives is not enough, but we need to sell a box in a time where it's difficult to sell a box. Xbox didn't realize it. They sold Game Pass this year because, dude, all those games I listed, Game Pass Day 1 plus Personas, right? Like they rocked it. But I
Stranger Than Heaven. There's so many games that were announced outside of the showcase, that are going to be Game Pass.
Yeah, but I think it's very important for Xbox to compete, for them to have a portfolio that is powerful and exclusive. For a long time, I said I didn't care. I want to celebrate the games. If that's what it took to get more Halo, great, because Halo looked good, surprisingly. But I will tell you, straight up, like if Matthew Ball and Asha Sharma's team are going to nix these small projects and come correct with big ones and really go toe to toe, I think that's a very good thing for the industry. And Logan, I guess that bleeds into our next topic, which we'll come back to Trevo's rest of his questions. But straight up, plain and simple, it is important for this industry to have competition. And it sounds like Asha Sharma is going to make some cuts in these next few weeks. Some studios are going to go away. Some projects are going to get nixed in favor of pillar franchises like Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Gears and Halo and State of Decay. And I love that. I respectfully submit that we do not need more kilns. We do not need more South of Midnights and the like out of first party, mind you. Out of first party, they can spin off and do Toys for Bob like connections where you get Spyro on everything. I think that's where those games need to exist. But straight up, we need a healthy Xbox doing pillar franchises, bringing the heat and going toe to toe with PlayStation and Nintendo for them to survive and make everybody bring the heat. Nerd Chat saying competition is good. Jamie Rogers saying Sony is allowed to have all their exclusives but get pissed when Xbox does it. I'm not. And Nissa, I know that she felt this way. She says, yeah, but that does not make people like me feel loved by Xbox. I don't think you need to feel loved by Xbox by South of Midnight releasing exclusively or not. Just by them releasing Spyro, you get to play on anything. Rock on. That spun off second party Toys for Bob, put it everywhere. I'm fine for them. But for AAA experiences, you need those pillar franchises. And Nissa, I see you respectfully saying these games are not for me. I grant that for you, but I don't think Xbox is trying to approach you as the cozy gamer. They're trying to approach the masses to sell. And the cozy games can exist on platform.
I'm gonna push back a little bit and say that they do service that group of that demographic of those games, but they have another showcase for that. That's the indie at Xbox. Like the ID at Xbox is for that type of gamer, the ones that like those unique, more kind of smaller experiences that are from indie devs that want to have like the weirdness in their games. Like I saw Deltarune shown at the Switch 2 or the Nintendo Direct, and I was like, that's an indie game, but dude, it feels so weird to watch this in a game where I'm expecting Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Metroid, like Kid Icarus. There's so many like IPs that are Animal Crossing. There's so many IPs that are unserviced right now from Nintendo, and everything I saw in there was kind of the same like RPG turn-based strategy fighting games. And I'm like, cool for, Xenoblades and cool for Fire Emblem, but everything else just felt kind of like weaker in a time when I'm expecting like some really good first party content from Nintendo for their Switch too, for their new console. And not to say that those games aren't valuable, but there are system seller games and there are not system seller games. And I think when you're doing a showcase and you're trying to prop up your console as an ecosystem to invest in, you want the games that are going to be the things that are going to be the broad general games for gamers that like want to pick it up. Like there's whoever gets the marketing deal for GTA 6, whoever gets to put their dumb little logo on that thing and say like, coming to PlayStation Pro or PlayStation Pro visuals, like that is going to sell that console because people are going to look at that trailer and associate it with the PlayStation Pro. They're not going to associate it with, oh, I can't wait to play that on my Xbox Series X. They're going to be like, no, it's shown on PlayStation Pro. That's what I want it to look like. I'm going to go buy that console because that's the thing that's going to make that game look like that.
Exactly. Like South of Midnight, Kiln, Keeper, they don't sell Xboxes. Gears, Halo, Elder Scrolls, they will.
And they're not bad games.
Correct.
They're great games.
Agreed.
They're just not the games that are going to invoke a sense of someone wanting to invest in that ecosystem.
Correct.
That's the beauty of Game Pass. I want to make it clear. We're not disparaging cozy games. We're not disparaging indie games. A lot of the games that I play when I'm not playing like main games are those types of games. It's just that kind of like that mentality from a marketing perspective that we're taking when we're talking about these showcases.
So Nissa saying that games don't need to exist to sell consoles. Yes, they do from first party. No, they don't from second and third party. That's the argument that we're making. You do need games to sell your console. That you straight up do. That's why Clockwork and Gears are exclusive. That's why Nintendo has exclusive games. That's why PlayStation is backing off of PC. You do need games to sell consoles. Does every game need to do that? No, but the amount, and you're going to see over the next 2 months, because like rest assured, the amount of cuts we're about to see in the industry are not specific just to Xbox. I think that's the story because of Asha's memo that she put out publicly, which I love the transparency once again. First party does not need to be producing that kind of game in lieu of pillar franchises or at the expense of development costs, given the rising costs of things. And Game Pass is this wonderful avenue to access and support that gamer. But on the box, pillar franchises sell the Xbox as a brand. It needs to be a big thing.
Crash Bandicoot and Final Fantasy VII and Tomb Raider used to be the games that sold the PlayStation when it came out. Like that's what Gran Turismo was, the game that sold the PlayStation 2 at launch.
And then it was The Last of Us and God of War.
Yeah. And Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yes. And that's what sold PlayStations. And then all of the other stuff, you can still play there. And that's the difference, right? Xbox needs high tier first party titles, not mid tier or non-showcaseable. I don't know if that's the right way. Like that's the element there. Nintendo found lightning in a bottle with Animal Crossing at the best time. All the needs coalesced around Animal Crossing to help sell that and sell Switches. But Keeper's not moving units. Kiln is not moving units. South of Midnight, not moving units. And we like a lot of that. You were really high on South of Midnight. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, right. Dude, so good.
And I think that's the thing. And I mean, no disrespect to people that like that stuff, but we need to sell Xboxes if you're going to be Xbox.
Can we address the elephant in the room? We're talking about the games that are good, that were smaller projects. Let's talk about Redfall. Let's talk about Deathloop. Those are games that were first party games that went multi-platform or not went multi-platform that did not do well. And those studios were detriment. It was a detriment to the company because they didn't perform the way they needed to. Even after something like Redfall had an additional year worth of development time, those were games that hurt the brand as a whole. I'm not saying that I'm sad that, or I'm not saying that I didn't want those games, but what I think is something that I think Xbox needs to take from Nintendo right now is they need to take a look at the studios that are not producing games that are at the same caliber as stuff like Grounded 2, as stuff is like Outer Worlds, stuff as like Halo or Doom, or the games that deserve the bigger budgets and the time to work on them. And they need to start hiring smaller teams outside of Xbox as second party studios, the way Nintendo hires someone to go and play around with the next Luigi's Mansion, or go play around with Metroid Dread, or like take a look at the games that are outside of, or take a look at the IPs that they have and say like, okay, you're a studio that does really, really well making Super Lucky's Tale. Let's license out Banjo-Kazooie for you, and we will help produce it. You develop it, and then that way it takes less strain on the studios that we have to make something that is exceptional and still get the benefit of having a game like that. Otherwise, everyone's going to be sitting there telling people like, make Toys for Bob, make Double Fine, make the next Banjo-Kazooie game. They don't want to do that. Hire a studio outside of Xbox to do that, who wants to do that, and just license the IP.
Yeah, best case scenario for this next 100 days as far as Xbox specific is you get a Toys for Bob situation, though, where they can get spun out. They were on the chopping block. They said, hey, can we leave? And then you license us to make X or Y. That's the best case scenario, right? Because there are some studios, there are some teams that are going to leave. And I want to remind everyone, this is not specifically Xbox. They are the ones that are saying it first. They did it right after their direct or their showcase. So it's not stepping on a rake. This is industry-wide happening. Ubisoft has already announced. Xbox has made it clear. There are more coming from many, many places. The reality is games cost too much to make. The development times are too long, and people don't have money to spend right now. So they've got to find a way to survive. So keep that in mind. And you say you like Xbox for the ecosystem. Excellent. Good. That's what Game Pass is for. That's the avenue. There's no reason to say those games can't exist, but they do not need to be made by pillar first-party studios. They've got to get their costs under control. Xbox has been outrageous with its release cadence and quality bars. It's been very hard to nail down where it's going to be, right? Because Forza Motorsport 10, or Turn 10 and Forza Motorsport, and then you have Playground and Forza Horizons 5 and 6. Like, those are quality bar differences, right? Starfield, was it what people wanted? Was it not? Don't know. Like, I loved it, but like, I get it, right? Elder Scrolls is in development. Good, right?
Todd Howard, very short.
He is very short. But what I'm saying is, first party, the brand of Xbox is made stronger by high tier AAA exclusives. Simple as that. Simple as that.
I am willing to, if I was Asha, I would be willing to let go of a couple studios, let them go independent, and hire them to do projects that they want to do as part of like Game Pass, so that they keep that kind of content out there, but they're less of a liability on the bottom line. And then take that budget that they're provided and have that go towards ensuring that we get a new Halo within 10 years, as opposed to what we have
5 years.
Well, so that's the problem, right? Because when did 5 come out?
I don't remember. 15.
Okay. So like 15. And then it took another 7 years, I think, because no, Halo Infinite came out in 2021. So it's like,
it's too long.
We want to have more than just one entry of a pillar franchise in the same actual like time span of a generation of consoles.
You need an Insomniac and Obsidian level cadence, correct?
Yeah. Insomniac, I don't know how they produce the amount of games that they do. It is absolutely insane that they're able to come out with like Miles Morales at the start of a PS5 franchise, remaster 1, come out with Spider-Man 2, and launch Wolverine all within a PS5 franchise like that, or like time frame. Like, I don't know how they do it, and they seem content. And
I want to address Nissa saying that you'll get less games in the process. There were 500 games announced in the last week and a half or something like that. It was an exorbitant amount across all the various showcases.
Yep.
Maybe it's 500 games shown. I forget.
And we saw updates on games that have already been announced at SGF as well too.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's no shortage of games.
Correct. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't need Xbox making South of Midnight. Someone else can make that, and I'm still going to play it and enjoy it. Yeah. That's the big thing.
And chances are
hardware.
That studio will probably earn more off of like selling it on their own, depending on the publishing deal. If they do that, like South of Midnight's going to make a game, or oh my gosh, not Coalition. Who made South of Midnight? Why?
Compulsion.
Oh God. Compulsion could potentially do better if they had a higher budget than what they had for South of Midnight. We won't know that unless they have like full control over their financials.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, is Microsoft like hamstringing the ability of Compulsion to be able to make a really good game because of the budget that they have? Would they be able to hire more people if they would earn more off of the game that they made and had a better deal with another publisher? Like, we're talking like an infinite timeline of possibilities right now. So to say that this is a bad thing doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's a different thing, and it's going to happen. The boons of that or the detriment to it has yet to be seen. So we can't judge it until we actually know what happens. Then we can address whether or not it was actually a smart move or a bad move. Hindsight is 2020, and we can't start prejudging stuff like it's Minority Report.
I sincerely hope Compulsion survives but doesn't belong to Xbox for the exact reasons you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like Xbox right now it's being floated that they might be spun out and exist on their own as a subsidiary. Fine, because Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond's version of Xbox was bad. It didn't work. And I don't mean Phil's like entire lineage and time, right? Like, he saved the brand. Let's never forget that. But all that Copilot garbage, all the budget constraints, Xbox ended up with Xbox operating at 3% margin. That's terrible. That's not good for a $20 billion plus set of expenditures. So whether they're spun out, whether studios get spun off, whatever it might be, I think you need bigger pillar franchises that people know to sell your box, whether you sell Helix or a modified version or something, because hardware is expensive, games are too expensive, and they take too long to get to you. But there's no shortage of games and good news. So there's a lot to capitalize on. I really like the things that we've heard being said from Matthew Ball. I think he was a good hire. I appreciate that. I appreciate that Sharma is not backing down from hard truths. Thank you. Right? Like, I like Sharma's 100 days in and 100 days to come. I am for it. It.
Right now, like, everything that she's said and done has been from the perspective of, I don't know what's good or bad, but I can listen and act. And so far, everything that she's done, she's explained exactly. It's like when Nintendo announced that their Switch 2 is going to go up $50 in the fall. It's like, be transparent about what's going to be the bad thing that we know is going to eventually come down the line, so that we can like talk about it, share feedback, and then if adjustments need to get made, great. Don't just spin up on us like, oh, by the way, tomorrow Game Pass is going to go up to $30.
Correct.
Stuff like that is not like, give consumers time to make choices about these kind of things.
I like Jose's comment here, because this is true of leadership at any level. Clarity is kindness. People need to know where they stand. They need to know what the expectations are, what the expectations are going to be, and where they are ranking within that.
Yeah.
Because then choices can be made appropriately. If you're operating with nebulous expectations or you're unclear of where your leadership wants to go, then you don't know what to do in order to please them. And I think that's been the problem for the last few years. And we have hindsight to allow this, right? But
yeah,
what is an Xbox was not a clear statement. We asked ourselves prior to the showcase if we would exit this showcase knowing what an Xbox is. Well, I don't know what an Xbox is per se, but I know it's going to have Gears, Halo, Clockwork Revolution, Doom, Call of Duty, State of Decay, Forza, Fable. Like, I know that. And I know that going forward, exclusives are more on the table than they've been in the last few bits. We got some nothing quotes out of Matt Booty, which didn't answer any questions. But it's clear to me that this new Xbox is invested in the future.
I was actually surprised that a lot of people didn't take away more from Booty's comments, because to me, it made very clear sense that anything that is a live service, we'll take Sea of Thieves, for example, live service game. They are doing free updates for their content. They are going to be in perpetually like releasing stuff down the line. Same thing with Fallout 76. Fallout 76, very much a live service game. I can understand those kind of games relying on multiple platforms to support their player base, to ensure that if you want to get into matches of like combat or something like that, that you have a strong enough player base to be able to support that. And that obviously live service games have stores. Those have microtransactions. Gears of War E-Day, I don't think they're really going to have a whole lot of stuff to sell in that game. They may have stuff to sell in that game, but if they do have stuff to sell at that game, I think they're willing to accept that this one being an exclusive is going to sell more to people who are fans of the game than to people who are picking it up to jump in with their friends to do it, and they see a cool skin in, or a cool skin in the shop kind of thing. So if it has multiplayer, but it doesn't have a live service element, I think it'll still be on the table for being exclusive. Whereas if it is predominantly multiplayer with a live service cadence, then I think we're going to probably see it be more of a multi-platform thing. That's why I think it's surprising, but still should be expected, that Grounded 2 is a live service game. They are going to do continued events and continued like stuff for that, and they're going to release it to as many people as possible so that that game can continue having like an influx of costs. Whereas I think like Clockwork Revolution, that is going to be a pick it up and play and then be done with a game. Like, it's a single player game. You're going to enjoy the experience. But then as soon as like a month comes by, people are going to be posting the reports on Steam about how the player count has dropped to 90% because people finish the game. And that's okay. It's okay to have those.
Right. Well, I hope sincerely that our message is coming through to our audience. Hit the like button, by the way. That we are not saying these devs, we want them fired or laid off. We want the games to be made, but we're talking about the health of Xbox and the need of pillar franchises. Those are two different statements. And I want that clear. Like, we do anticipate layoffs coming from a host of people across the industry. I am not saying that I want those people to be out of work. I just want it very clear that I think the health of Xbox is dependent upon its pillar franchises and the focus on them.
Yeah,
that's the simple reality of it. So, comments, feel free, hit that like button, that dislike button, depending on how you feel, of course, but do separate the argument, because I do not want the two to be intermixed.
Yeah, like having indie games from smaller studios or AA games from smaller studios under Xbox does not mean that we hate them if those get let go. That just means that we would like the focus to be on the AAA games,
right?
The way Sony does, the way Nintendo does, and hire the AA and the indies to still be in Game Pass, to still produce those games, but just on a much more case by case basis. I think Double Fine's had a pretty long leash so far after being acquired by Xbox to do what they want, which is great. I don't think that the games that they produced have necessarily returned the investment.
Yeah. Yep. Good to see our buddy JJ Suddy in the house. Winter Soldier as well. Good to see you. We appreciate you guys very much. Logan, I don't think we have the time because we try to keep it around 2 hours. The Nintendo Direct did take place. I was a little disappointed by the lack of new in there. I saw Xenoblade. That's a big deal for a lot of people. I know a lot of people were looking forward to Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, but we did not see some of the stuff I expected or wanted to see. Mario Kart World DLC. We didn't see any news about the next or additive stuff coming to Star Fox. So that game is very, very close to release at this point. We know there's going to be
fun.
What's a Splatoon upper? Yeah, the demo is really good. Too long of a tutorial, but it looks amazing. And I'm on board with those designs. Play that. But we didn't see much in there. Kingdom Hearts 4, but no Disney characters in there. Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, like that stuff's good for that audience, but it didn't feel like a Nintendo Direct somehow. I was expecting more.
Yeah, I'm still. I will say that the saving grace for it was the Splatoon Raiders update. It just looks fun. I'm just ready for some Splatoon Raiders on that one. Star Fox, glad they had the demo because I jumped into that, had a really good time with it. The Ocarina of Time like trailer was very small and stuff, but the fidelity is present, and I am so excited to actually see like what that full game looks like. Because, dude, it will go down in history as the one game that has really just changed me as a gamer growing up. It was still one of my favorite games. Still, it and Super Mario Brothers 3 are probably the two games next to like World of Warcraft that I will say are like, what was the Spider-Man Miles Morales, like the canon events of my life were like those three games. So very excited about that. A lot of it just looked there's just a lot of like RPG stuff in there that didn't resonate with me, but it absolutely resonates with the Switch 2 demographic. So I think as far as like if you're into like traditional RPGs, turn-based games, stuff like that, action-based ones that are even like with Xenoblade and whatnot, there's a lot of good eating there. But it's clear like there's a reason why I gravitate towards the platformers and the action games from Nintendo, and why I stick to games ecosystems like Xbox and PlayStation for my action adventures and FPS games. So I think that as far as like the games that they announced, probably less first party than I think a lot of people wanted, and a lot of stuff that looked the same. I think they could have definitely had like kind of spread out a little bit of the genres on this one. Yeah. But I'm glad that they're still bringing in updates for games from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, because I think that that's one of the few things that I've really appreciated about the Switch 2 is just having better frame rates, better fidelity on the games that we already have.
Yeah, I'm playing through Mario Odyssey right now.
Yeah.
And I'm further than I ever was on my Switch 1 because it just looks and plays better.
Yeah.
Courtesy of some just free updates we did. I think we're due for, later this month, late June, early July. There's gonna be a big Nintendo sale for a lot of first party stuff, which people might get into. And they seem to be trying to really front load a lot of their rough news as far as their price increase and such. I do think that this Direct should have had Mario Kart World content. It lacked any update on the Metroid franchise, which I was expecting.
Need an anniversary update for Mario Kart World, dude. Bring in new characters, bring in new levels, new items,
just costumes, even
something.
Yeah, something. Because in the world of racers, Clutch, Forza, Sonic Racing, which got good updates, even Hot Wheels, and there was one other one. There's just a lot of good racing. Mario Kart World stands pretty weakly next to them. And the other problem is a lot of Nintendo's variable pricing is confusing. I like this $50 Star Fox. Yeah, good. But then I have $80 if I want to play the Switch 2 version of Mario Wonder. But that's, you know what I mean? Like there's strangeness in there. They need, I think
I'm okay with it, honestly. Like, cause I mean, like if I can spend $50 on a AAA game digitally that I know I'm going to have on my system the whole time, totally fine with that. Like Walmart's done a really good job of
Well, I don't
like
mean that. I
pushing.
mean the $80 cost for some of the games. That's a high
Well,
bar for people that
how
don't have
many
money.
of those? How many $80 games are they actually selling though that don't include the DLC? Because like Maybell Park is part of the Super Mario Wonder, which is part of the cost of the reason why it's bumped up the extra $10.
Sure. We also have like Donkey Kong's up there, Mario Kart World's up there. There's a couple others like
Donkey Kong. I thought was I think it's 70.
maybe I'm wrong. My bigger point is you've got some games that are 50, some games that are 70, some that are 80. Do people have that money to spend? And I don't know. And like I'm not dunking on like Xbox and PlayStation have expensive games too. Don't misunderstand. I just mean that this direct could have answered more questions.
Yeah, I didn't find an issue with it. I think I actually prefer having games that are like known quantities with like Star Fox that are just a higher res, higher fidelity version of the 64 version. I would much rather just have that at like $50 instead of having to pay 70 for it. Totally fine with that because it's exactly what I know it's going to be. So having that a smaller experience from a first party kind of eats the fact that we don't have something like Player's Choice anymore. I loved when Nintendo did $60 games, and then after they sold 1 million, they put it into the Player's Choice catalog, and it came down to 40. And I always really appreciated that. But yeah, better to have the varied prices on some of these first party titles to me than having everything that comes out be $70 at this point, because like a lot of folks in chat are saying, Game Pass alleviates a lot of that strain. We've got a lot of really good games that would naturally, if they didn't have Game Pass access, all be $70 or more.
Yeah, no, and Game Pass delivered or is delivering this year. Not to mention the cost reduction. I was on record pretty strongly saying like I'm not renewing in November. Do I renew now? Seeing all this, I think so. Right? Like I think so. When I see like I listed all those first party. It's a lot of good games, man. It's a lot of good games. So I think I'm back in on it, but I will be waiting for sales for sure. Mr. T is Legend is asking if we're gonna have Cliffy B back on to react to the E-Day showcase. I've had Cliff on 3 times at this point. If he wants to, sure, but I don't think I'm gonna push him again until maybe he's played E-Day. Maybe. Right now we've got a lot of stuff up on the channel for reviews, for interviews that I'm hoping people check out. And for a lot of new games. Now, if Cliff reaches out and says yes or wants to, heck yeah. Always appreciate having his insight. But I don't want to keep tapping that well and abusing his willingness to say yes, if that makes sense. Jeremy says, heck, I paid $7 for a Yoshi game I know I might only get 10 hours out of. Yeah, Jeremy, when you're done with that, please drop a comment on one of our episodes and let us know what you think of it.
Rusty is not going to finish that game.
Oh, really?
I can Rusty, if you finish that game, I will be very impressed. I will throw some money your way for finishing that game as a challenge.
All right. So, Logan, we talked about a lot of stuff from our trip to LA. There's a lot of stuff up on the channel. There's more to come. I know one thing I want to do is talk about the JSOX cover and controller casings that I used for my Switch 2, because traveling to LA was the litmus test. Coming back was a litmus, like how did it do on the plane, all that stuff. That's something I want to get up this coming week. I want to talk about Alien Isolation. I want to try and do a preview for Godzilla. There's a bunch of games we didn't even talk about. Goodness gracious. So, there's a lot of work to do, and you're working around work and I'm working around homework and my summer job. So we're going to do our best to get it up there, but I will ask everybody to go put that content that we've done on your screens, hit the like buttons, make a comment on there, engage with it, because you guys got us there. We worked really hard to make that content. We want to do right by everybody and do it again next year. So that means having people come in and step in and support, show their love for the channel, etc. So just throwing that out there. Anything you want to spot, Logan?
Stuff I have in the works. Gungrave, Tomb Raider, Star Wars, I would love to do something on orbitals, but I don't have a whole lot. But maybe down the road, be able to talk about that, because I think that game's just an amazing indie game that just came out of nowhere. But I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. I think that's on the docket for now. Game server review controller. I need to find time to finish writing the script up for that and recording it to put it up to on B-roll. Because if you guys don't know GameSir, that is a name you're going to want to definitely pay attention to if you're going to be looking for controllers in the future.
Yeah, there you go. All righty, everybody. That is going to be it for us. Thank you for engaging with us. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hit the like button, etc., etc., etc. We really appreciate you. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.